My name is Gary Bolles, as it was earlier today. Co-founder of Microcast. We've been doing these MuniWireless conferences now for, what was our first one? Over 2 years ago. Seen the industry go through a variety of different phases. And so we wanted to make this what we really think of as sort of the afternoon kickoff session, an opportunity to explore this industry from a variety of different perspectives. So I've got just a couple of opening thoughts, as is my want for these events. And then I'm going to ask Esme, the founder of MuniWireless, to come up and give some of her perspective on what she's seeing going on in the industry and some ideas about where it's going. I'm then going to introduce Padmasree Warrior, who is the Chief Technology Officer for Motorola. And then I'm going to bring up a couple of city CIOs to talk about their perspective and some of the issues and challenges and opportunities in bringing these networks to larger cities. And then about 6 o'clock we'll break, and we'll go and have a great break in the. I think we're in the exhibit hall at 6. Okay, great. So, and then we have a birds of a feather session, and I'll give you an opportunity to maybe just talk about that a little bit later, Harold, too. So, so just a couple of brief thoughts. Does anybody read the newspapers? You might have seen one or two articles about MuniWireless and public networks over the past couple of months, and maybe one or two of them weren't completely positive in all respects, talking about some of the challenges that might be faced in some of the larger, more scaled networks, or some of the rethinking that some of the players in the market have done. And I think it's important whenever an industry hits these sort of phases where people are sort of talking about and really trying to digest what an industry is all about and the value that it delivers. It's important to sort of look at it from a historical perspective and really understand the dynamics that are playing out. And so we titled this, some of you might have seen on our website about a month ago, we had a different title for this event, and then we realized, well, it is kind of an industry at the crossroads. I mean, there's things that are happening. Some people might say it's an industry at a dip or a trough in terms of at least the popular media's portrayal of it. But there are things that you do when you're in this trough and sort of things that are really important to make sure that you're tracking on to understand what really the value that's being delivered by new technologies, new business models, and new services. So I want to talk about troughs for a minute and really not maybe that kind of trough. I want to talk about troughs for a minute. I actually, so one of my staff was saying, I think a year and a half ago I first showed this. This is the Gartner hype cycle. And it's important, I've called it the Gartner hype curve in the past, but it's important to really think about that word cycle and why that matters. So just to belabor the obvious, we've seen this happen time and time again in a lot of different technology arenas. My business partners, Mike Perkowski and Al Perlman in Microcast, probably between us, we've started 25 different technology publications going back to the late 70s. And so you start to see these patterns emerge. And I think our friends at Gartner really coined something interesting in looking at this initial sort of technology takeoff that happens. Things rise to this really, really high level of inflated expectations, and then something happens. The technology typically isn't meeting those inflated expectations, and we've got loads of examples to point to here. And then it hits a point where things need to sort of rationalize and match up. And so that's why we call it the trough of disillusionment. So take voice over IP. This is 2001. And so you'll look, voice over IP was actually really, really hyped around the internet boom time. And then it started to sort of descend that curve. And by 2002, voice over IP was being seen as cratering. It was, there's no way that this is going to work. There's no way that you can really deliver isochronous real-time services over IP networks, and this is just not going to fly. And now, this is 2006. This is Gartner. You see where voice over IP is. It's way over here in the plateau of productivity, where people are seeing real value from voice over IP networks. And so this happens again and again in different arenas. And so, as a matter of fact, if you were to Google